FAB-Racing.
The nerves heighten as they get ready to get this race underway, and they get ready and they start this warm-up lap. But that's a problem for Johnny Garness, but no, he's fine, he's got going. And it will be Johnny Garness who is going to be starting from that pole position, ahead of Mason Foster in second, who we know who's so good in the wet. Lucas Brown in third place on the grid, ahead of Harrison McKay and Alfie Davidson rounding out the top five. Josh Bannister, the number 2, he lines up in sixth place on the grid, ahead of Holly Harris and Clayton Edmonds, who's in eighth. Ted Wilkinson, a brilliant ninth place from him in qualifying, ahead of Greg Marshall, Jacob Stevenson in 11th, Luke Schofield down in 12th, and Felix Dorlin in 13th on the grid.
Yeah, but we can see anyone come through in this one. The rain is very much a leveller when it comes to racing, and we've already seen Clayton Edmonds make a move in the MK-GP70s all the way through to second position in the race. Can he do the same in the 70s? Well, he'll be lining up from 8th on the grid. What can the likes of Alfie Davidson from 5th position do? And equally, it's all going to be about Lucas Brown and Johnny Garness into turn 1. Can Lucas get past Mason Foster and just make it a one-on-one battle, or will Mason Foster use this talent that he's got in the greasy conditions? But Johnny Garness, British Talent Cup rider, on to pole position. He's been blisteringly fast so far this weekend in practice and in qualifying. Mason Foster in second position. Lucas Brown, championship leader, in third place, needs to get ahead of his title rival and start building that lead back up. But what can they do as they get ready for the lights? Garness in pole. Second position, Mason Foster. Third for Lucas Brown. Off the line, it's a good start for Mason Foster as he tries to go around the outside of Garness. Garness hugs the inside line. Clayton Edmonds making moves already, trying to go around the outside of Holly Harris and Alfie Davidson. And that is Johnny Garness now dropped down into second position behind Lucas. Is that Lucas Brown up into the lead already? Yeah, Lucas Brown up into the lead of this race. He's taken that lead away from Johnny Garness. Mason Foster dropping down through the order, so not what we expected to see from the number 88. Harrison McKay also on the rear wheel of Johnny Garness and makes a move on Garness, and that's now a bike in between Garness, Brown and Garness, so that is possibly a very significant thing in the championship. But still, of course, 12 laps to go in this race as Garness goes back up the inside of Harrison McKay. You can see how much he wants this championship, but he's going to have to try and make his way through on Lucas Brown, who just seems to be pulling away at the front of this one. Harrison McKay now back up ahead of Johnny Garness, so these guys swapping positions on this opening lap. Mason Foster now on the rear wheel of Johnny Garness, so he could be even demoted down to 4th place in this race. It's Johnny Garness in 3rd place, but Harrison McKay takes the lead. Harrison McKay up the inside of Lucas Brown and up into the lead of this race, and now Garness's sights are right on the back wheel of Lucas Brown. Brilliant start from Harrison McKay. Really enjoyed these early stages. You can see already building a bit of a gap between himself and Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown and Johnny Garness have not really got going in this one, and this is going to really start to heat up. We've got the two title rivals up against each other, but in second and third position, with Garness needing to finish ahead of Lucas Brown in this one. Can he go to the inside and do what he did last time around on Harrison McKay? Not quite close enough this time, but Harrison out the front is starting to get a move on and close away. Clayton Edmonds, like I said earlier on, is really enjoying these conditions. 8th position, now up to 4th, and right on the tail of Johnny Garness. Yeah, Clayton Edmonds, we saw him flying earlier in the MK-GP50s. He's already got a little bit of experience around this wet circuit from that GP50 race. And that's Johnny Garness now up the inside of Lucas Brown. Rudely interrupts me there, but a brilliant move there from the number 57 of Johnny Garness. Lucas Brown tries to get to snap straight back at him. Now Lucas Brown is going to have to stay calm, stay composed, and try and make his way back through. Takes the title line through there and does make his way back through. And Garness tries to hold the line. He closes the door, does the number 29 of Lucas Brown, and that's lost him a little bit of time for the number 57. But Garness now is really going to be looking to try and return the favour once more. But what can Clayton Edmonds do as Garness has a look at the inside? Lucas Brown closes the door. This is all about the championship, isn't it? Yeah, this is going to start about to really get tasty. It's Lucas Brown versus Johnny Garness. Two riders that are heading off to the British Talent Cup. Garness already there. Lucas Brown wanting to wrap up this season with a championship. He's just holding on to second position. This is allowing Harrison McKay to disappear off into the distance. Garness up the inside. There's contact between the pair of them. Just about managing to stay on two wheels. This is going to open the door for Clayton Edmonds and Mason Foster. This battle is really starting to heat up, and you can see this is going to go blow for blow. They've already changed positions a couple of times. Johnny Garness is wanting to get back up ahead of Lucas Brown. He knows that not only is he losing positions in the champion or losing points in the championship, he needs to be winning these races, not finishing in second.
Yeah, absolutely. So he needs to be capitalising on as many points as possible. But you can just feel now this battling going on, these swapping positions between Brown and Garness is just bunching up the pack a little bit. You can see Clayton Edmonds desperate to try and get through on the number 57. Alfie Davidson's also in there. Holly Harris is in there. Mason Foster as well. So this is now a big group, a big battle for second place. But I don't think anyone is quite wants to get involved in this battle that these guys are having at the front of this battle. And that's Ted Wilkinson that's gone down. Massive shame for the number 128, learning learning the ropes here on Tarmac Racing. Of course, flat track rider and multiple British flat track champion as well. But back to these guys. This battle for the championship really hotting up nicely. And Lucas Brown now with a little bit of breathing space. The first time we've seen that in this race. But you can be assured that Johnny Garness will be doing everything he can to make sure Lucas Brown doesn't get away as he goes up the inside. A brilliant move there from Garness. But Brown doesn't want to give it up. Just lost a little bit of time there. Just perhaps a little bit too defensive from Lucas Brown. Really didn't want to give that place up. That lost him a little bit of time. And now Garness has breathing space, and that is a very dangerous thing indeed.
Yeah, a wide line there into turn 8 for Lucas Brown. That allows Garness up the inside and up into second position, exactly what he needed. Clayton Edmonds tried to take advantage, wasn't able to get quite close enough. Johnny Garness goes and does the fastest lap, the only rider in the 53s, and so Johnny just trying to put himself in a little bit of traffic, but he goes deep trying to get past the traffic, opens the door for Lucas not able to get the run on him. This is the battle for the championship lead. Harrison McKay, however, is 2.3 seconds up the road. Harrison having a brilliant run so far. That's Alfie Davidson off to the side of the circuit. The number 8 machine was in 5th position behind Clayton Edmonds. That's going to promote Mason Foster and Holly Harris. Holly, who's putting in some really good lap times, some really consistent 54s, which is up there with the leaders, and she's currently in 7th position. But Johnny Garness trying to break a gap between himself and Lucas, but this battle is they're like two magnets just attracted to each other on circuit. These two, they just can't seem to move away, and they need to close in on Harrison McKay because he's got a 3.2 second advantage.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be catching Harrison and McKay. We're so focused on this battle between these two that we haven't really mentioned Harrison much, but he's doing such a brilliant job out the front of this one. Like you say, 3.2 second lead as Brown now goes around the outside of the number 57, Johnny Garness. And now that's Brown taking another place ahead of him. So brilliant stuff from Brown. You can see there McKay leading by quite some margin, and Clayton Edmonds and Mason Foster almost scared to get involved in this battle as Johnny Garness makes a move at turn 8 once again.
Yeah, and it's a corner that Lucas Brown just seems to take wider each time, and it opens the door for Johnny, but getting the cutback is Lucas Brown. Does he get the move into the final corner? He does. So Lucas Brown back up. They're trading positions lap for lap. Your title rivals, Lucas Brown on the 29 and Johnny Garness on the 57. Clayton Edmonds now looking at trying to go around the outside of Johnny Garness. We've got 5 laps left to go in this first race of the weekend, and if the other two are anything like this, it's going to be absolutely breathless.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be such exciting stuff at the front of this one. But Lucas Brown now just pulling a little bit of a gap on Johnny Garness. Johnny just with a little bit of a slow exit out of the hairpin. You can see where these riders are stronger than each other. Harrison McKay there absolutely just flying out the front. 4.5 seconds it is the lead that Harrison McKay has over anyone else in this one, as Garness makes that move once again at turn 8. Lucas Brown doesn't want to give it up, but he's going to have to do it. He tries to get the cutback once again, tries to get the drive, and he does. Just an absolutely carbon copy of what we saw last time out. But now Clayton Edmonds having a look up the inside side of Garness. If you were Clayton here, would you want to be getting involved in this battle for the championship, or do you want to just be thinking about your race?
He's already picked up a podium in the MK-GP70s. He wants another one, and you can see it up ahead of him. And as you can see, it's getting ever so close. Mason Foster trying to get a move there and trying to catch Clayton unaware, but not quite able to get the move done. Holly Harris is still in this battle. This is a 5-bike battle for second position. Johnny Garness and Lucas Brown both know where each one of them is weak on the circuit. Lucas takes a different line through turn 7. It opens the door for Johnny, but then Lucas gets the better run on exit. Harrison McKay, however, up the front, has now built his lead up to almost 5 seconds. This is a stunning ride from the 61. Really enjoying himself here at the Red Lodge circuit in these conditions. Johnny Garness just doesn't quite have anything to come back at him, and neither does Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown, however, does manage to hold on to the position for this lap. So I think this is the first time this race that we've not seen these two change positions.
Yeah, and that really does say something about how interesting and how brilliant this race has been now with 3 laps to go in this race. Johnny Garness has a look up the inside at turn 1. Can't quite make a move stick this time round, but does a look into turn 2. Sits up the number 29 of Lucas Brown. What a move by the number 57. Just planned that one to perfection. And now Lucas Brown is going to have to try and fight back. Took a wide swooping line there, tries to get the drive, and he does. Brilliantly planned move as well there from the number 29 of Lucas Brown. Both these guys absolutely at the top of their game, and I feel so sorry for Harrison McKay at the front, because all our attention is going to these guys because it's such brilliant racing. But Harrison McKay is blindingly fast at the front of this one. Again, tighter line from Garness, makes the same move he has, and that's Clayton Edmonds who tries to go through on Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown isn't having any of it though. He tries to get the drive on Garness once more. Carbon copy once again, and now Mason Foster's in there as well. They're swapping positions all over this circuit.
Side panel banging between Garness and Lucas Brown into the final corner. It's going to open the door for Mason Foster to go down the inside. Not quite able to get the run. He gets up past Clayton Edmonds, however, into 4th position. Banging panels was Garness and Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown not allowing Johnny Garness to get the bike turned in, and he gets back up into 2nd position. Harrison McKay has built this lead now to 6.9 seconds with 2 laps left to go. This can go anywhere. We cannot believe how many times the championship protagonists have swapped positions. Let's see once again. This is the corner where Johnny Garness takes the tighter line. Lucas Brown takes the outside line. Does he cover the inside corner? He does. So this time Johnny's going to go outside and try and get the run on the exit of turn 8. Can he get the run down towards the final corner? Mason Foster trying to close in, but this time around it looks as though Johnny Garness has to hold on to position as they come onto the last lap. Harrison McKay takes the last lap flag. Across the line comes Lucas Brown, Johnny Garness, Mason Foster, Clayton Edmonds, all within a second of each other. Just one final tour of this 1,200 metre long circuit. Harrison McKay is looking on for a brilliant victory here in the wet conditions. Johnny Garness needs to finish ahead of Lucas. Lucas said that this weekend was all about finishing ahead of Johnny. Well, he's got a few more corners to do so.
Absolutely so, and you could just see Lucas go was a little bit wiser last time into turn 7, took that tighter line and it didn't let Garness through. But what's going to happen this time? And here is your race leader, Harrison McKay, coming around the final few corners for the final time. He's going to pick up this win, but it is all about this battle for second, because that is the battle for the championship, and he has managed to stay in front of him at turn 7. But it is Harrison McKay coming through the final corner, will take the win. What a win for Harrison McKay, his first win of the year. He looks delighted that one, and I think it's going to be Lucas Brown, and it is. Lucas Brown takes second place and beats Johnny Garness in this one, so he extends his championship lead. Johnny Garness in 3rd, Mason Foster in 4th, Clayton Edmonds in 5th. That was possibly the best race we've seen all season.
Oh, that was great, wasn't it? I loved that one, and that means advantage Lucas Brown in the championship, and Lucas Brown with the fastest lap on the last lap. The 53.255 was 0.2 of a second faster than anyone else. But yeah, hats off to Harrison McKay. What a ride from the young rider from Lincoln. And yeah, the 61 got to the front and used this battle that was going on between the 29 and the 57 and really just disappeared off into the distance. Mason Foster managed to hold on to 4th position ahead of Clayton Edmonds. Holly Harris doing a good job at 6th position as well. But yeah, if we're in store for 2 more races of that calibre, we are going to have an absolute treat this weekend.
Absolutely so. If it's like this all weekend, I'm going to have lost my voice by the end of it. But there it is, Harrison McKay with an absolutely brilliant victory. First place in this one ahead of Lucas Brown. So important for the championship was that second place ahead of Johnny Garness in third, Mason Foster a brilliant fourth, Clayton Edmonds brilliant pace in fifth, Holly Harris, we didn't talk much about her, but a brilliant sixth place from her, Greg Marshall in seventh, Jacob Stevenson in eighth, Alfie Davidson after that crash in ninth, and Felix Dorling rounding out your top 10.
So that means points advantage goes in the way of Lucas Brown in that championship. He manages to take a 4-point lead over Johnny Garness. So that gap now goes up to 19 points in the championship. So yeah, if you're Johnny Garness, he knows that races are very much running out in the championship. He needs to be finishing not only ahead of Lucas, but Lucas dropping points. But if Harrison has that sort of pace tomorrow, then that could be very much the thorn in the side of Lucas Brown. Your championship leaders, Lucas Brown and Johnny Garness, must have traded positions, traded paint around 1 or 2 times per lap. Harrison McKay, however, absolutely stormed to the front and just, disappeared off into the distance, left the battling 57 and 29, and a frustrated Mason Foster and Clayton Edmonds felt like they could get past, but the battling between your championship leaders, Johnny Garness and Lucas Brown, was so fierce that they couldn't find any room.
Yeah, absolutely. So right at the front of it, they were battling it out, and they were swapping positions, and it was just holding up the rest of the pack. But no one really wanted to make their way through. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the wet here. The championship could be won in this one if Lucas Brown is to score 7 more points than Johnny Garness, and there it is. You can see the live championship there. It just gets updated. But yeah, he needs to score 7 more points. Brown needs to score 7 more points than Garness in this one to be able to win it in race 2. Otherwise, it will go to race 3 later on today. And one name we cannot help but talk about is Harrison McKay, because yesterday he flew away at the front in the wet. But today it's going to be Johnny Garness who is lining up on pole position on the number 57 machine. He's looking to pick up that MK-GP70 champion, but it's Mason Foster in second place on the grid with the number 88. Championship leader Lucas Brown on number 29. He's in third place on the grid ahead of yesterday's race winner Harrison McKay in fourth. Alfie Davidson rounds out the top 5 on the grid with Josh Bannister on the number 2 in sixth. Holly Harris in seventh with Clayton Edmonds, the number 146 in eighth. Watch out for him, very fast in the wet indeed. Ted Wilkinson, a brilliant ninth spot on the grid for him after moving up from flat track. Greg Marshall in 10th. Jacob Stevenson on the number 67 in 11th place on the grid. The number 64 of Luke Schofield is 12th on the grid with the number 87 of Felix Dorling 13th on the grid, and rounding out your grid for this race,
the 29 of Lucas Brown, your championship leader, and the 57 of Johnny Garness. Lucas Brown can win the championship in this race if he outscores Johnny Garness by 7 championship points. So it is going to go right down to the wire. Watch out for Harrison McKay. Yesterday's race winner looked very, very strong indeed in these conditions. We know Mason Foster is very good in these wet conditions, and equally Clayton Edmonds is having a brilliant day, but they get ready to look to the lights. It's Garness on pole, Mason Foster second, lights on, lights off as they head down towards turn 1. It's a good start for Mason Foster. Can he get around the outside of Garness? Lucas Brown straight up into second position. Can he get up alongside Johnny Garness? They're already side by side, but Lucas Brown takes second position. Johnny Garness not what he wanted to see at all. Championship leader taking second position, and Harrison McKay passes Garness. This has been a disaster of a start for Johnny Garness, from pole position to 4th position in 4 corners. Yeah, that was a real aggressive move from the number 29 to get around the outside of Johnny Garness. He really wants this championship, and that really said it in that move there. But Clayton Edmonds all over the rear wheel of Johnny Garness. Now as Garness tries to go up the inside of Harrison McKay, Harrison McKay trying to make a move on the number 29 of Lucas Brown. It's all happening here on this first lap for the MK-GP70s, and that's McKay now up ahead of Lucas Brown. So now Johnny Garness has a face full of Lucas Brown at the moment in this one. It's going to be about these two in the championship as Garness goes up the inside of the number 29 of Lucas Brown. That's your battle for the championship live on circuit. But now Clayton Edmonds up the inside of both of them, can't quite do it on the both, but now up into 4th place just ahead of Lucas Brown. They're battling it out away in this first lap of this race, and now we're going to have 11 more laps of this. Oh, I believe that was Clayton Edmonds. What a move from the 146, sweeping around Johnny Garness. I was going to say, Clayton very much licking the stamp and sending it like Johnny Garness did, but is Garness going to try and go down the inside? He is, as they go around towards the back end of the circuit and back up into third position, but Garness, not what he wanted. He needs to be winning this one. He needs to break away from Clayton Edmonds and Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown is falling off the back of Clayton Edmonds, and Johnny Garness sent it into turn one. Lucas just got a little bit unsighted, had to go wide. It allowed Clayton up the inside, and he's lost 2 positions in 1 lap, and he's now got to reset and get back after Mason Foster, who's starting to pull away now, 2.1 seconds up the road from Harrison McKay, who's having another stellar ride in second position.
Yeah, perhaps Lucas Brown just thinking about the championship here, making sure he stays on in this race, doesn't want to take too many risks. Of course, he's in a much better position than Garness as they go into race 3 later on with that 19-point lead going into this race. So he doesn't need to risk as much as Johnny does to get this championship victory. But Johnny now fending off the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. Edmonds is going to be desperate to try and get past the number 57 of Johnny Garness, because he thinks he has the pace to go and win this race. He won earlier on in the MK-GP50s, but Mason Foster at the front of this one, we've ignored him a little bit, but he's flying out the front of this race. They're setting a 52.3 on that last lap, and that is the fastest lap of the race. A 2.5 second advantage he has over yesterday's winner, Harrison McKay. Harrison just flew away in the wet yesterday, but it just seemed as if that battle between Garness and Brown yesterday was holding up the rest of the field. Clayton thought he could get through and try and go and catch Harrison McKay, and so did Mason Foster, and Mason proving that he has the pace to be at the front, because now he's 2.5 seconds ahead of anyone else. But here is the live championship at the moment. It's Brown on 378 points ahead of Garness with 364, and that will make the championship go down to race 3 later on today, with Brown behind Garness in this race. Of course, to win it in this one, Brown needs 7 points more than Garness, and it's not looking likely at this point in the race.
No, and Lucas Brown really starting to fall off the back of Clayton Edmonds and Johnny Garness, and starting to fall into the clutches of Alfie Davidson and into the clutches of Ted Wilkinson, who's having a very good run in 7th position as well. Ted Wilkinson moving up from 9th into 7th. But Lucas Brown, your current championship leader, if all things finish as they are, that gap will be 14 points going into race 3, so it's going to be all to play for. But Johnny Garness needs to start closing in on Harrison McKay and Mason Foster, and like you say, Mason Foster, who's having a brilliant run. This is what we saw from him back at the opening weekend of the season back at Lydd, where he picked up a really strong result in these tricky conditions back at that circuit on the south coast of England. And the 88 is once again showing that he's got the pace to be out there at the front in the GP70 class. Harrison McKay, fastest lap last time around of 52.08, was about 0.3 of a second faster than Mason Foster. But however, he is starting to get reeled in by Johnny Garness. It was a 5.1 second advantage. However, it's now closing down a little bit between the pair of them. It's 3.9 seconds. So Garness is starting to get on it now that he's cleared Clayton Edmonds and Lucas Brown.
Yeah, Johnny just trying to put the hammer down later on in this race. Still 7.6 seconds behind your race leader and 4 seconds behind second place. So it's looking like it's going to be third place for Johnny Garness, but still 7 laps to go in this one, so anything can happen. And never discard the number 57 of Johnny Garness, because we've seen just how quick he can be in this championship. There's Harrison McKay, yesterday's race winner, and won it by some margin yesterday. Absolutely flew out the front of this race, but this time it's Mason Foster who's flying away out the front. Harrison McKay some 3 seconds behind Mason Foster at the moment in this one, setting very similar lap times, but with Mason having extended that lead earlier on in the race, it's going to be a tall order for Harrison McKay to be able to go and catch him. But Mason Foster, like you say, a rider we saw really strong in the wetback at Lydd, likewise at Wilton Mill, and it's going to be a name that we're going to be looking at next year, of course, because the likes of Lucas Brown, Johnny Garness, they'll have moved on, so it's going to be between riders like Mason Foster, Harrison McKay, Clayton Edmonds to be battling out for the victory next year. But at the moment it is Brown who leads the championship ahead of Johnny Garness. And that's a big crash for the number 61 of Harrison McKay. Big high side on the exit there, so now that promotes Johnny Garness up into second place. Just lost the rear end there, and it just regripped and sent him over the top. That is disaster for 61 of Harrison McKay, just trying to go and collect his visor off of the circuit there. That was a big impact with the floor.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Harrison McKay. Yesterday's race winner, as you say, big high side for the 61, but that promotes Garness up into second position. Clayton Edmonds is now sniffing a decent result in the 70s. Currently, his best result in the GP70s is fourth position back at Ella Park. He's now on the podium and looking at second position behind Johnny Garness. He's not been dropped by Johnny at all. So Clayton, like we said in the MK-GP50 class, really enjoying these slippery conditions here. Very, very good on these differing conditions to what we see usual during the summertime. But Johnny Garness is starting to really fall away from Mason Foster, 7.4 seconds. He's starting to have to worry about what Clayton's doing behind him. But Lucas Brown equally promoted up into fourth position with, unfortunately, that fall for Harrison McKay. However, now Alfie Davidson and then Ted Wilkinson and Holly Harris trying to close in on Lucas Brown. So Lucas is not got it all his own way at the moment. He's got Alfie Davidson wanting to pick up that points, but we know that Alfie gets on very well with Lucas off circuit. So we'll see if they can battle on circuit. But Lucas, he's got a bit of work to do, because at the moment Garness is in second position, taking some more points off of Lucas Brown, and this one's going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about him a lot, but what a ride from Ted Wilkinson, the number 128. Brilliant stuff from him. In only his third meeting on tarmac racing, and he's up there mixing it with people like Holly Harris. He's on the back of Alfie Davidson, and even your championship leader Lucas Brown isn't far away at all from him. So this is brilliant stuff from the number 128 of Ted Wilkinson. He's moved up from flat track. We saw him for the first time on tarmac back at Ella Park, and he's now here in the Premier class here at FAB-Racing, and mixing it with some really good experienced riders in this class. So really experienced, so really interesting to see, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does next year in this championship. A name to look out for is the number 128 of Ted Wilkinson, but equally the number 8 of Alfie Davidson, defending that position from Ted Wilkinson, also one to watch for the future. And we have reports that the Harrison McKay is back up and into this race. So despite that nasty fall there for him, as Clayton Edmonds has a look to the inside of Garness, that's your second place man in the championship, and now that's the Clayton Edmonds up into second place in this race, and now has a little bit of breathing space over the number 57 at the moment in this one. So that's less points for Garness, and that is significant in this championship, because that goes from 20 points for him to 16 in this one. If it stays like this, still 2 laps to go, and you're going to be thinking Garness is going to be looking to take those points away from Clayton Edmonds.
Yep, he needs that position back from Clayton Edmonds, but Clayton Edmonds has been very, very strong indeed in both the MK-GP50s and 70s this weekend. In fact, he's looking very comfortable on that bike and stretching a little bit of a gap over Johnny Garness as they open up into the penultimate lap of this second race of the weekend here at the MK-GP70s, the Premier class in the road to MotoGP. Of course, FAB-Racing, a official partner of the British Superbikes, but it is Lucas Brown that is still your championship leader by 16-point margin, with all results provisional currently. But that is your live championship ahead of Johnny Garness. Mason Foster up to 2.96, third in championship. He's currently leading and has a huge advantage. But last time around, Clayton Edmonds going purple there, setting a very, very good time of 51.956, faster than anyone else on circuit, and the only rider inside the 51. So Clayton Edmonds is really starting to get on it. Can Johnny Garness get him back? But behind, you can see the battle is still going on. Lucas Brown is starting to get hounded by Alfie Davidson, Ted Wilkinson and Holly Harris behind. So this battle is going to continue to keep going as they come up to some lap traffic up ahead of them as well. So watch out for that, because that's going to start to heat up on the final lap, with Mason Foster currently making his way around the 88, who has had a sublime race today to get to the front. Mason Foster on that 88 is going to come up to the flag very shortly. He's got a couple of riders taking the flag, but here's Mason Foster, your winner for the second time this season. What a result for the 88. Second position goes Clayton Edmonds, and Johnny Garness in third position. What a result for Clayton Edmonds. Johnny Garness in third place. Who comes across the line in fourth position? Well, it's going to be a battle all the way down to the end, with Lucas Brown currently heading that one up. Can he hold off everyone else as they all come up to the line in a gaggle? It's going to be close to the line, but it's going to be Lucas Brown in fourth position. Alfie Davidson, Ted Wilkinson, best result on the season for the 128, sixth position. Holly Harris in seventh. Greg Marshall, good result there in eighth. Jacob Stevenson will circulate in ninth, and Harrison McKay, who should be coming around in 10th position, ahead of Luke Schofield and Felix Stalling. But Oh, big result there for Lucas Brown, not losing too many points to Johnny Garness.
Yeah, absolutely. So exactly what he needed to do has Lucas Brown finished not too far behind Johnny Garness, and now it is only 16 points in it going into race 3 later on. So you definitely rather beat Lucas Brown than Johnny Garness in this situation. But it was Mason Foster with a brilliant 4.6 second lead over Clayton Edmonds, who finished in second place and set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. Johnny Garness, second place man in the championship, in third ahead of Lucas Brown. Championship leader Alfie Davidson picking up a brilliant fifth, with Ted Wilkinson a really impressive sixth place. Holly Harris in seventh, Greg Marshall in eighth. Harrison McKay, after crashing out, rejoins in ninth place, and Jacob Stevenson rounds out the top 10 for race 2 for the MK-GP70.
Drum roll please, Trystan, as this is it. This is the final championship that can be signed off today, and this is the big one. This is the MK-GP70s, the premier class, the final step in the rung of the ladder that FAB creates. And it's Johnny Garness, it's Lucas Brown. It's looking as though it is going to be Lucas Brown that needs to, well, he's in pole position to take the championship as he just comes onto the grid now, a little bit late, but just maybe playing some mind games with Johnny Garness. But Lucas Brown on the 20 in the 29, Johnny Garness in the 57 is going to go right down to the end.
Yeah, just 16 points between these guys. So Johnny Garness needs to score 16 more points than Lucas Brown in this final race for Johnny to be able to win it. So it's looking like it will go in the way of Lucas Brown, but anything can happen in racing. And this is the final race of the year for the MK-GP70s. Lucas Brown on 380, Garness on 364, just 16 points between them. Mason Foster also in third with 296, but it will be Garness who lines up on the pole position ahead of Mason Foster in second. Lucas Brown, championship leader, in third ahead of Harrison McKay in fourth. The number 8 of Alfie Davidson rounds out the top 5 and 5th spot on the grid, ahead of Josh Bannister, the number 2, who won't be riding this weekend after picking up an injury yesterday. Holly Harris in 7th, Clayton Edmonds in 8th, watch out for him in the wet. Ted Wilkinson, flat track rider, in 9th place on this grid. Greg Marshall in 10th, Jacob Stevenson on the number 67 in 11th, Luke Schofield on the number 64 in 12th, and Felix Dorling rounding out the grid in 13th spot on the number 87 machine. But coming round to start on pole position is the number 57 of Johnny Garness. This is it. This is the premier class in the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships, the MK-GP70s. Riders such as Scott Redding, Charlie Nesbitt, Rory Skinner have all come through this field, and they've all gone on to win it and moved on to big things. But who's going to win it this year? It's the final race of the year for the GP70s. The lights are on for the final time, and it's a brilliant start from Mason Foster from second on the grid, takes it the lead into turn 1. Lucas Brown right onto the rear wheel of Johnny Garness. Of course, Lucas doesn't need to beat Johnny to win the championship. He can stay exactly where he is, but of course 12 laps to go. We've only just started this race. Clayton Edmonds looks like he's made some positions up. He's gone from a bit further back. He's gone from 8th place on the grid, and he's climbed up a few positions there, but it's Mason Foster who is leading this one. He's your race 2 winner, and is looking to make it a second win this weekend in race 3. Harrison McKay up and Clayton Edmonds up the inside of Lucas Brown. So Lucas just playing it safe here, doesn't want to crash, needs to make sure he stays on that bike and stays close enough to Johnny Garness to be able to win this one. Of course, Johnny needs to score 16 more points than Lucas to win.
Yeah, and that means that Lucas can afford to drop some points to Johnny. Johnny needs to ideally get past Mason Foster. However, drying track, which is important in this, because Johnny Garness in the dry was a second faster than anyone else in practice. So let's see if he can use that pace in this drying circuit to close in on Mason Foster, because these two have broken away at the head of the field, with Clayton Edmonds once again, the young man on the 146, having a brilliant ride on that bike, really enjoying Red Lodge in these conditions. But it is Johnny Garness and Mason Foster leading away. Lucas Brown has passed Alfie Davidson once again, has moved back up into 4th position. Ted Wilkinson once again, as you alluded to, the champion on flat track, is made a move into 6th position. That was his best result so far of the season, was 6th last time out. He's currently matching it. Can he move up? He's currently right on the tail of Alfie Davidson, so this is a really good run from Wilkinson.
Yeah, good run from Ted Wilkinson, absolutely up into 5th place in this race. And can only stress how difficult it must be for Ted Wilkinson coming over from that flat track straight into the Premier Class. He's only done a couple of rounds before this one and already mixing it with some really well-established riders in this category. So doing really well in this MK-GP70 Championship, considering how little experience he has on tarmac. But now Clayton Edmonds up the inside of Harrison McKay. That is the battle for 3rd place going on between Clayton Edmonds and Harrison McKay. Of course, it is Johnny Garness who's in 2nd, but not coming up on our timing screens at the moment. So if Johnny Garness doesn't have a transponder on, he won't be counted in terms of the championship. He is coming up on our timing screens just right at the bottom, so just perhaps some sort of problem with the timings there, but it is Foster from Garness and then Edmonds in 3rd.
Yep, Lucas Brown back in 5th position, now starting to come under pressure from Alfie Davidson and Ted Wilkinson in 6th and 7th position. But of course Lucas just knows he needs to keep it on 2 wheels for this one. And you can see Lucas starting to come under threat from Alfie Davidson and Ted Wilkinson. Holly Harris is in there as well, and so is Greg Marshall, who's having a good run staying with this lead battle. But Lucas just holding fire a little here, perhaps just waiting until later on in this one. He knows that pretty much the race is for Johnny to close in. He knows that Johnny's got a big deal and a big task on his hands if he's to close in and pass Mason Foster. Mason Foster, who's having a brilliant race once again. He was your race 2 winner. He's looking at picking up a 2nd one this weekend. And of course, everyone in this class is racing for the Mark Howe Trophy as well. But there is your live championship. Lucas Brown would be the winner provisionally by 7 points to Johnny Garness if all things finished as they are. Mason Foster back on 321, which would be brilliant for Mason to close in within 60 points of the leaders after it was a huge margin coming into this weekend. Clayton Edmonds is having once again a very nice run, battling with Harrison McKay for 3rd and 4th position, but it is still Mason Foster from Johnny Garness. Johnny not quite close enough. Lucas Brown is dropping down. He's now almost 10 seconds behind Harrison McKay in 5th position, so really not pushing too hard. He just knows that he needs to be picking up some good points, and he'll be able to take this championship by just a few going into the final few corners. So watch out for Lucas Brown. He just needs to keep it on 2 wheels. He's quite happy just circulating a little bit slower, just taking it a little bit more easy. I'm sure he's had some advice from people in the paddock to not push too hard, not make any silly mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. All he needs to do is stay on this bike and make sure he's finishing somewhere in that top 5. If he finishes down in 7th place and Garness wins this race, then Garness will be champion. So he needs to make sure he keeps that position where he is at the moment. But of course, Mason Foster has made his way a 1.5 second gap between him and Garness. So for Garness to win, it's going to be a tall order. If Garness finishes in 2nd, then Brown needs to finish in 12th for Garness to be able to win it, and that is not looking likely here with Brown up in 5th position at the moment. Of course, defending from a lot of riders at the moment, so he needs to make sure he's scoring as many points as possible. He doesn't want to slip back too far because there is the possibility that Garness does just snatch it here, but at the moment, as it stands, Lucas Brown would be champion with 6 laps to go in this race, roughly halfway through this final race of the year for the MK-GP70s. But Alfie Davidson all over the rear wheel of Lucas Brown. Ted Wilkinson in there, really impressive ride from him. Holly Harris also in there, and also Greg Marshall as well. This is a really good race from Greg Marshall as well. We haven't seen a great deal of him this year on the number 19 machine, but a really good pace being shown in this battle for 5th place. Of course, battling with the potential 2020 MK-GP70 champion Lucas Brown. So a good showing from all of these guys. The number 8, Alfie Davidson, we're used to seeing him up the sharp end. No surprise that he's there battling with the number 29 of Lucas Brown. Lucas has a look over his shoulder. He just wants to see who's there, just wants to suss out this situation for his championship. But Garness now 4.3 seconds behind Mason Foster. So it looks like Garness won't be able to take a victory in this one, but still a long way to go here because Mason Foster flying out the front. But now Clayton Clayton Edmonds right on the rear wheel, and up the inside of Johnny Garness goes Clayton Edmonds, and it looks as if Garness is just struggling here because now he's in the clutches of Harrison McKay as well, so this won't do his championship campaign any good at all. This is really not what he needs at all in this race. But now Clayton Edmonds, he's been absolutely flying this weekend and now up ahead of Johnny Garness.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Johnny Garness, perhaps there's an issue. There's a reason why he's dropped off. You can see he's losing heaps and heaps of time every lap to Mason Foster. Now Clayton Edmonds has got past. Harrison McKay is starting to close in. In fact, Johnny Garness is 2 seconds slower than anyone else on circuit, and he's been dropped by Harrison McKay. So Garness, who was looking at possibly fighting for the championship, is starting to fall back. He's now dropped into 4th position off of the podium, and this is working perfectly into the hands of Lucas Brown. You can see Johnny looking down at the bike. He knows, you can see slapping the handlebars. This is huge for the championship. This is the championship slipping away from Johnny Garness. He had an opportunity of fighting for the win. It's looking as though that bike is going to give up at him at the final race of the season. It's just not working for him. You can see so frustrated down the back straight. It's really starting to get into his head, but he's really cruising around this corner now, really struggling out. It's like just every single corner you can see him just getting frustrated, banging, angry, and obviously the angry riders are not good riders because they usually make mistakes, but at the moment he's going to start, well, just shedding time, and Lucas Brown is the next rider to come up to him, and that is the worst thing for Johnny. He's going to see Lucas getting closer and closer and closer. 3 laps left to go. Lucas Brown will start sniffing that not only can he win this championship, but he can finish ahead of Johnny Garness.
And I think that problem for Garness is something gear related, because I saw earlier in the race he was flapping his arm around quite a bit, trying to shut that throttle to try and get it into gear, and he's been struggling to change gear all race long. So I just think it's something to do with the gearbox there for Johnny Garness, but it matters not, because the number 29 of Lucas Brown is in a championship winning position here in 5th place, with Garness dropping through the order, currently in 4th. He's determined to get to the end of this race with 1.5 laps to go, but it is Brown now who is leading this battle for 5th place. It looks as like none of these riders want to overtake Brown. They're just scared to get involved in that championship battle. But one rider who's not scared at all to get involved in this championship battle is the number 88 of Mason Foster, who is leading this race by quite some distance with 2 laps to go. He comes into the final corner, onto the flip-flop, onto the back straight before the final corner, and we will come through here one more time after this one. So Mason Foster flying through the final corner, just one more lap to complete, and Mason Foster will take 2 wins from 2 here today, and that will be his 3rd win of this season in this final race for the MK-GP70. As you can see how close Lucas Brown is now to Johnny Garness, but that does not matter anyway, because Lucas Brown will be the champion no matter where he finishes at this point. So Lucas Brown in a brilliant 5th position, could possibly be losing it to Holly Harris, so he's trying to tell them to stay behind him, but I don't think that's what they're going to want to be doing in this final race of the weekend and of the year. Holly Harris has a look up the inside of Lucas Brown and makes a move stick, so a brilliant move there from Holly Harris up into 5th place, but Brown will still be the champion. But it is the number 88 Mason Foster. What a victory, 6.8 seconds ahead of Clayton Edmonds, and it is the number 88 Mason Foster who takes the final win of the year. What a win for the number 88 Mason Foster. 25 points, 2 wins from 2 today, but it will be Lucas Brown that is going to be your champion. Holly Harris has made her way through, and he's just dropped through some of these bikes here, but he's going to come round to take this championship as he goes on to the back straight for the final time. He knows he's got this one in the bag. He's just playing it safe. He can see that Johnny Garness is just 1 place in front of him, and Lucas Brown comes across the line, and he is your 2020 MK-GP70 champion. Number 29 Lucas Brown comes across the line, stands up, and he is absolutely ecstatic with that one. He'll move to Donington Park in a week's time for the British Talent Cup, knowing that he is the 2020 champion. As
Lucas Brown gets some well-deserved congratulations from his competitors, Alfie Davidson, Harrison McKay on either side of him. Burnouts on the back straight for your champion in the MK-GP70s. Well done, Lucas Brown, the rider from Haywards Heath in West Sussex. He, I'm sure, will be heading off to the British Talent Cup with a huge, huge boost in confidence, punching the air. What a championship it's been for him. He's just done a superb job. The battle, and cannot count out Garness. The battle between the pair of them has been brilliant. The race one between the pair of them may be the most exciting race in FAB-Racing this season. But Lucas Brown is your 2020 MK-GP70 champion. Congratulations goes out to him, and we should expect to see the plaudits come from far and wide. It's the premier class, the final step on the rung of the ladder for FAB-Racing. Lucas Brown flies across the line to start his celebration lap here. There's no cruising for him. He's going to do it, and as fast as possible. He wants to go out there and show everyone just how quick he can be. And Lucas Brown has been a well-deserving winner, and what a season it has been for him. What a move for him, and well, what will this do for his young career as he makes his way up to the Talent Cup?
Well, now Lucas Brown goes down in the history books as another one of the MK-GP70 champions. Names like Rory Skinner, Scott Redding, Danny Kent, Charlie Nesbitt, many of these names have come up through the MK-GP70s, won this title and gone on to do great things, and Lucas Brown, I'm sure, will be another one of those names. Brilliant stuff for the number 29 of Lucas Brown, and now goes over to the British Talent Cup next week at Donington Park to make his wildcard, his first appearance over in the BSB paddock, and he'll go there as the 2020 GP70 champion.